kind of earned the opportunity, even if it was for a day or two. Team was one of the greats as Edward lost his teammate. You see him trying to scavenge around over leftover loot, get the reboot card, anything that he can at this stage in the game. Because you're fighting in the last half to try to finish strong. I'm gonna go for the reboot this deep in the zone, though. We already see what happened with Paper. When he got rebooted, Batman Booga took him down, and you can see him really second guessing. He's spotting that team at the distance. He said, nope, nope, not here. Try somewhere else.
Rodium Gill moves them across rather swiftly.
Taking his time, though. Not really taking his time, just taking some time, I should say. But as you look at that, Yamzo, a solo. Wondering what happened between these two, Yamzo and Rise. Well, we enter in a new analyst to the mid game, SBG. What happened to Rise?
So we have a little two-piece for you. We see Rise go down. That's why Yamzo was going back to get that reboot card. But not only that, these players circle the down body, pick him up, and then try and maximize that damage onto the body for Storm Surge, making sure they get as much damage as possible.
Something we used to see a lot back when sniper rifles were in the game. People wanted to get that max damage headshot with the snipers. So they always look to do that. Extra damage for Surge can go a long way.
Ouch.
Unfortunately, Pamsa won't be going a long way in this game. Zuki's takes him out.
Freshly rebooted at that. And really nothing for your efforts after that reboot other than points. There's Elysian Dragon versus Day and Shore. High hopes for Day and Shore, but Elysian Dragon are proven to be a formidable duo in this FNCS. Trying to take the better ping buff and run with it as they take down one of the hottest teams through round number 2. Really stopping them short overall to get their second elim of the game.
Yeah, nothing quite being able to work out there. Short and Day. Elysian Dragon, we've seen them hitting really big shots and really clean shots all throughout today's games. Piecing people up, putting them down.
Next rotation, just trying to farm up as much as possible. Any little bit extra, even if it's about 300 missing brick between the 3 different types total. As you can see, Clicks and Soup are one of the just 2 teams to place top 10 in every single game on the day. You're going to imagine landing center map, being able to kind of build that tower in the sky, get Storm Surge, all while Soup is just kind of gathering the resources. You can see the switch up. Click said it himself. He's going back to doing what he does best, and that's fragging out. And with one of the best IGLs in the game in Soup, hey, this is a team that I'm going to be loving to watch this season. See them too, just like some of the other teams throughout the day, popping game time rather early than we've seen their EU counterparts do yesterday.
What do we have here? A reboot came through. Boogle was able to pick threats up, and you can see them coming out from deep in the zone. And in terms of what they're working with now, a refresh will be more than just needed. It will be quite literally the key to any sort of meaningful game happening from here on out. Material so low, loot not looking the best. And I'll be surprised if their surge situation is much well. Hope this really is looking like a
But for Aviv and Skittles, you can already see, judged by the loadout from the vault. As many of these mythics as they can put in one loadout as they can, but it's going to be Nick, who's just high above the rest on top of the building, and even more so as he built himself a nice platform to try to look down on everybody else while his teammate is doing his best to kind of contest that capture point. Nick is just continuously being proactive, looking for Surge, but at the same time, him and Demonic separated like this against Aviv and Skittles. All they need to do is realize he's a solo, try to break into the box, and try to take him down one at a time. Uh-oh.
This is trouble. Nick not quite wanting to let them play this for free.
I like that. He dropped down low, allowing for his teammates to kind of get out altogether. That was Demonic's, but you see him kind of in the distance. He's actually just going to disengage altogether. It's just not worth their time. They took too much damage. They gave up their position. Instead of fighting from the back foot, they're just trying to position themselves for a better spot later in this same game. And for our last game's winners, game number 3, the last one before the half, Acorn and Cole yet again. Just outside of zone, but not really have much worry about. Ooh, okay, this is what I was waiting to see.
Rise being rebooted now. Over here towards the racetrack. The very area where he sort of went down in the first place, and so he'll be able to go back to his old loot actually and pick up his old loadout if that's what he wants to do. Sitting in a bush.
Yamza probably has all those heals ready for them as well, knowing he had to go deep in the zone just to make this chance a possibility. So many teams on this side of the map. But unsurprisingly enough, almost 600 above the damage threshold. So much experience on one team as Matt and WTJR begin to kind of rotate into the zone. They get just outside, no longer taking damage, but Matt realizes before he gets on towards that edge, he has to pop a slurp. He has to go ahead and get himself as close to 200 HP and shield as possible before he continues his journey to the center of the circle.
Just barely edging their way on in. I think they might need to move a bit further forward just to actually be into zone, create a bit more space. 2 more boxes should suffice.
Halfway through this next game, 6th zone. We already know it's moving towards the north this time, more so, because I do believe it hovers over Lonely Labs. It's got so much distance to cover, but Threats is going to go down.
Yep, falling in the feed again. Got rebooted only for him to be taken out once more. We'll see exactly how it happened.
Three different sides. Pressure literally from 3 different sides. And the only side that wasn't getting tagged up was in the zone. Literally ran out of options on what to do.
Run out of options, run out of time. It's time for the rest of the lobby to move towards this Lonely Labs island almost, right? It's sectioned off by a bit of water that most of the lobby will have to cross over.
Not sure if I've seen an endgame over towards Lonely Labs. At least not in quite a while, because you gotta imagine. We talked about the water. There's a huge dip, a huge trench all around that a lot of players can hide, especially players that might be solos, trying to scavenge for as many of the placement points as possible, because as it stands, 0 placement points have been awarded up until this point into the top 31. It's not until we get into our top 25 duos as placement points begin to kind of set in, one after the next.
Blake's not able to connect with any of those players that were moving in. Was in the right spot to do so, but could not quite connect. I know he's been putting in effort into improving his Surge aim, and now things just aren't quite clicking. No pun intended, of course.
He realized the situation he's in, though, and you can see him, he's just looking all around, not afraid to peek, to try to take some shots. Down on Surge, has less than a minute to try to pick up any damage that he can. Storm Surge is now active, and that's why you see him and Soup beginning to come online, and it literally takes seconds with their backs up against the wall. try to take down a team. 128 above the damage threshold for now, but they're not stopping. They're not slowing down. But Soup just gets a little too ahead of himself. He was able to get a knock and quickly return to Clix's box.
Soup's been fragging out today, getting the big elims when necessary, getting the big shots when needed.
They know somebody is nearby. They don't know exactly where, but they're finally going to be able to take down Trolling. Putting themselves well above the threshold for now, about 300, which is a huge difference. Once down almost 100 below, really making things happen here late into this game. Assault takes a shot before flying through the sky, trying to cover the distance, but still 77 below the damage threshold as he quickly moves above. That is a blessing in disguise, but as I say that, he becomes the focus of the lobby as a solo, 34 HP. He needs to figure out a way to use the splashes, but so much shots coming in, he has to defend himself at the same time, and he goes down. Sad sight to see for someone who put in so much effort.
Speaking of effort, Yomzo and Rise tried to get into this box, and Yomzo was forced to win it out alone. Ritual punished Rise, but fortunately not too much. D-Roller and Jackson are strolling into that box zone, so I don't think Rise will be revived. I think Yomzo is just going to have to get out of the way, build up, move out. Yeah, he will. The revive can't come through just yet, but no, dropping beneath the builds. Jackson and D-Roller left them alone, and that just creates a space for Rise to finally be picked up into this game again.
That was important, because they're barely on the cusp of top 25. Placement points are barely beginning to set in for a team that is well within reach of the possibility of taking first place. That is a must, as ZZ's just trying to push in. 5 below the damage threshold when it comes to Storm Surge, but whether you're 5 below or just simply 1, the Storm is going to do damage regardless. Using the last of his smash, leaving him no choice but to continue to try to move forward. But 2 back-to-back shots puts him 200 above the damage threshold. You add in the fact that he just picked up a huge elimination. That siphon, that refresh, even the chug splashes added on top could bring him towards the end game.
That shield bubble for extra protection is nice. The protection's all good and well. You need some builds, you need a refresh, and that shot is definitely a start at getting there. Yomzo takes the wall first time. Who would have thought he'd be able to do that on his ping nowadays? Either way, they weren't holding a wall, but they were holding a stair. And so they were able to block Yomzo from being able to make his way on in. But now the ODM gear, he's going fully in. He knows he needs these limbs, but nothing quite is working. The desperation kicking in. They just need something. If they can get in front of somebody's face, I'm sure they're gonna hit the shots needed, but they just have to get that opportunity, and the windows are just not open right now.
Yeah, perseverance, though, is gonna be the name of the game for Yomzo and Rise. Even using that last build to get the piece control, it's polarized and pen. They have more than just piece control. They have full control over the game up until this point. Night Zone, things are going to begin to move. With 1 elimination so far, my only question is how many heals does NPen actually have?
And the Yomzo and Rise, they went down. Ooh. Let's take a look at it. Heals. WTJ. He dropped down, and Mapra pinching in from the backside. And so that duo, who we know needed a big refresh to stay in this game, couldn't quite do it.
Soup, though, still continuing their own journey. Ultimate low ground, Trashy and Pump. We saw them become victorious right out of the gates, off spawn, and seeing how it's led them so far as Clix and Soup, 46 above the damage threshold. Game time already being used. Pizza in his back pocket when push comes to shove. Same could be said about Acorn and Cold here, but they have 4 extra splashes added to their total, so they're going to have a little bit more room to work with as they quickly connect Blade to the front side of zone, sacrificing just a little bit of HP to build himself some more safety on the other side.
Rokin and Vert looking for a potential drop down, and they see that play on this layer. That's Mars, who's running away.
Wow, everything came crashing down for that short moment. Polarized and NPen, though, with those kinetic blades, they're going to be able to catch themselves and continue to maintain their position on that high ground. NPen, though, he doesn't have any heals. Unless he passed them on over when we didn't really see, it's going to be hard for them to win a heal off if it does come down to it, but no game has really came down that far. ZZ still a solo, no heals, but plenty of builds. With that kinetic blade, he's going to easily make it from point A to point B. He just has to make sure to not get tagged out of the sky.
Cold and Acorn moving through. Clicks. Let's have a pizza to pop, and maybe should look to pop it with his HP. He is one half-decent shotgun shot away from being taken out, and yeah, we'll just pop it to get everything he needs. Trashy and Pump. They're still in this game, and they still do have heal of potential. If they have that augment waiting for them, if they have access to a pizza, they'll have enough to heal off. The heal offs haven't lasted that long, and so with what they have, certainly will be more than enough. NPen polarized way above and easily choppable, but nobody's looking up at it. Nobody's even interested. What Cold and Acorn are interested in is all these players here on their layer that they can take out. ZZ, 12 HP and a dream.
Like every time we jump on board, he just has less and less HP and shield. Trying to drop down low. Trashy and Pump under siege. So many players all around, just one layer below. Jeff and Rapid on the other side. They quickly try to get on out, but they're getting distracted for now. You lose sight of that focus. It could be your demise as Soup lost sight. He goes down, all left up to Clicks, but he's one of the best solo players we got in the game. And he catches Zuki slipping. Gonna say fast for a moment, but he's gone long ago.
Zuki didn't see it coming. Clicks was waiting there, and he punishes. But can he get back into the zone? By the skin of his teeth, just a couple ticks of HP away from being taken out. Acorn has to drop his pizza now and even look to just play it, and another big shot from Clicks. But sadly not enough to stay in the game. Who knows what could have been? Trashy and Pump still alive as a duo. And these chug splashes will keep them ticking around here in the back side of the zone for a bit longer. Acorn continuing to heal off, and Polarized now being sent down to disrupt the troops. NPen does have the slurps, but not really any chug splashes. If he has pizzas, maybe that could work out for him. Acorn now avoiding as many ticks as possible because his heal of potential has run out, and his time in the game has also polarized. Needs to connect, but won't. Bayside, and it's Emerald Road King who's alive in this one.
Gets it. Gets the siphon as well. Last of the splash is going to be used out of nowhere, though. NPen from the high ground tags him up when he least expects it. Like a thief in the night, steals away that victory royale straight from his hands.
Emerald King, before he had time to look for heals, search for something to maybe keep himself in the game. NPen said, nah, I see you from way above. And just dealt with him. Look at that.
Wow.
That's everybody's dream. Falling from the skies, falling from the heavens, and connecting with a magical shot. And NPen and Polarized win the game as a result of it.
Okay, that was nice. That was nice. That was a great finish from the high ground. He immediately just dunked on him.
Literally.
Let me tell you, if he's not an athlete, that's going to give him some inspiration.
That was really nicely done. A shot that I think many players would have wished they could have lined up for themselves. But let's see where that leaves them in the standings. Of course, a win here is huge in these games. So much volatility, so many of our top teams are falling there. So we'll send it back to Z to break it all down.
Thank you guys so much. NPen polarized, huge victory royale, and easily the most stylish we've seen so far. I think, especially calling out NPen, he is so hungry right now. He wants to make it to global championships, and this is the level we could very well continue to see him be.
I think the name of the day so far for NPen and Polarized would be that, you know, me and SVG kind of talked about it. They were sitting in the storm for so many of these games. We were worried about storm sickness. Were they going to be able to win some of these games? With that being a factor, well, here it is. They get that victory royale. So that time spent in the storm, not affecting them at all.
Not a problem at all. When you're on high ground like that, when you're on the front side of that first moving zone, it is not a problem. You can just stay up there, deal damage down below, and that's exactly what we saw NPen and Polarized do so well. What I really liked about this as well is Polarized went down, did as much damage as he could, and NPen didn't actually have a Reality Augment to save. That pizza Reality Augment didn't actually have it, so he had to make that play at the end, and what a play it was.
Absolutely, and I do want to just highlight Mini Miner. Welcome to the broadcast.
Yes, hello.
I was so excited. I forgot to introduce you.
That's all right.
So here we are. We got a huge celebration coming out of NPen there. that's the kind of momentum we want to continue to see these duos pull out. I do have a question. I just feel like we keep seeing these like almost max height builds. Why will no one just look up? Please, someone look up.
Well, it's all about like time invested, right? If you're looking up to kind of break some of those builds, and a lot of them are built out of metal, so it's going to take quite a few shots to actually break them out. And at that point, it's like, well, why don't I just make my own rotation? Because shooting that duo out all the way up there, they're just going to kinetic blade. They're not going to go down the fall damage or anything like that. So sometimes it's just time wasted.
Yeah, you have to focus on your own game. If you're not focusing on your own game, it's not going to go too well. And if you look up a height, it's not really going to benefit you too much because, as you mentioned, they're just going to kinetic blade.
Yeah, that's true. Let's take a look at our standings. Right now, Acorn Cold still holding it down. They're at the top spot. I mean, my gosh, they lead with 245 points so far. They, another two, I think, are also hungry, man. They looking real good right now.
Yeah, they're popping off. They're doing very well. And if I remember rightly, Vivid, at the beginning of the show, you said that Peterbot is undoubtedly the best fragger on the NA East
Mechanical
region.
player is what I said.
Mechanical player, that was correct. Okay, I don't want to misquote here.
Thank you.
Cole's decided to come in here and just say, you know what? What are you talking about, mate? What are you talking about, mate? This is me. I am Cold, and I'm here to dominate. And, of course, in this instance, it was actually Acorn that managed to clutch up those final few points. But what a duo these guys are, and proving it yet again.
Yeah, I mean, 100%. Let's not forget, Jacob's mentioned it multiple times on the day. Our Major 1 champions looking to defend their title. If Week 1 performance so far has anything to say about it, I think they're hungry to find another axe of champions in their inventory.
I mean, who wouldn't be, right? Once you've had it once, you're like, I can't drop that. I never want to lose that again. I want to throw a couple more names. So obviously, NPen and Polarized jump all the way up, right? Suddenly, they find themselves in that top 2. But Clicks, Soup, right behind them. We actually saw Clicks in that last game just pull out some very clutch moves to try and continue like fight for this #1 spot.
You know, it's the duo dynamic, right? The reason Clicks is playing with Soup is because he is such a good IGL. For the past few seasons, and let me tell you something, Clicks has deserved a lot of respect for his transition to an IGL. He improved so much, but now he's returning to that fragger role where he can just kind of focus. He has Soup in the back of his ear being like, hey, listen, this is the play we need to make. Clicks can focus on those mechanical plays. I think we saw a very good example of that this game.
Yeah, he's in his comfort zone now, Clicks.
Yep.
He's feeling good. He's feeling a bit fraggy again. And as we mentioned, we talked about, of course, Peterbot, Acorn, of course, Cold as well, being some of the top fraggers on the region. But Clicks, he hasn't been in that conversation for a while because he's been in that IGL role. Now, let's chuck him back in that conversation. He's a fantastic solo player and a fantastic fragger at that.
Of course, and I mean, there's a lot of big names here on this top 10 to contest with, right? Yeah. You're looking at Eamzo and Rise now slowly starting to dip down. Peterbot, Quanti as well, moving down 5 placements, while other duos like 8th place, Trashy and Pump, saying, hold on, we still got games. We ain't done.
Yeah, it's great to see Trashy and Pump in those end games. I mean, I want to see some more pump pop-offs, right? But unfortunately for Peterbot and Quanti, I want to talk about that real quick. Why we haven't been seeing them actually gain any points over the past couple of games. Some off-spawn struggles for that duo, which is very, very surprising on the south side of Slappy.
Yeah, that's where Slappy can get a little bit difficult because, of course, more often than not, you are 50-50 for those floor loot spawns because, of course, there is that north side team as well that could rotate in on you. So you have to finish those fights quickly. And unfortunately, it doesn't always work out. And when it doesn't, of course, we see them falling down the leaderboard.
It is a little bit of a bummer, but I have a question for you guys. So EU yesterday, primarily heal off. Here in NA, has been kind of maybe like 50-50, maybe a little more in the heal off department, but why is it so different here? It feels like more of these duos are just saying, I don't want to do that. Like, I want to make sure that I'm not going to give you that opportunity to try and go for the heal off.
I think a lot of it is actually, when we look at some of these zones throughout the mid-game, there are so many NA teams just like way out in the storm. So I think in the back of a lot of these NA minds are like, oh, well, we can't play for heal off, so we have to go for eliminations because we've already taken so much storm damage.
And we see that with the teams using those reality organs early, right? We see so many pieces being shut down way earlier than we saw on EU yesterday. So they're expending all of those heals earlier on than what we've seen before. So they don't have that pizza for any game. They don't have those extra 3 chug splashes that you get from that reality augment. So it's almost like, let's just play with what we have because we've already used half of our heals already. The games aren't going that long. And of course, as we're seeing, it's making some great action.
Not to mention, like, they're using those heals, like you mentioned, but I feel like I've seen every NA team, on average, have a lot less materials than I saw EU teams have going into the end game.
The breakdown is on point as always. Only 2 games left here in NA. And remember, everyone's fighting for those series point leaderboard points. So we're just trying to place as high up on the leaderboard as we can, at least to start week #1. Any change-ups we need to make going into the last 2 games?
I want to see Peter and Quanti win off spawn this game.
Yes, I want to see that too. Let's just run with that.
I think that's
Just run with
I feel like that's the unanimous decision here from all of us. But hey, we have 2 more games to go. How will this conclude? Let's find out together. Find your seats on the bus. This is the FNCS.
After a long start to the day, we are now at the final 2 games. Here in game number 5, my biggest question, very similar to what the analysts were asking, will Peterbot and Conti, who started off today so incredibly well, be able to finally win off spawn at North Slappy, or South Slappy, I should say?
I mean, they're just used to that Slappy Shores all together. And everybody's asking, from the analysts to even Levin standing next to me, is will they win it off spawn? Fortnite says, well, let's just show them. Let's give them a bus path. That's going to give this fight right out of the gate. And you can see Seek and Lawrence having a little bit of height this time around. They're going to go ahead and drop multiple chest opportunities. Peterbot and Quanti, though, they're going on the whole other side, the eastern portion of South Slappy, and they're going to land the first couple of shots, but thanks to those slap barrels, it's not going to do too much damage to their HP, but I spoke too soon. Additional angles from Peterbot absolutely annihilates them off spawn.
Peterbot putting in the hard yards. And so much aggression there instantaneously. Closing that fight out before some teams from the map have even landed. On the far side, here towards the southwest. Batman Booga. Hold on, Batman Booga. These guys have been some of our most aggressive players in the lobby, dealing such high amounts of damage.
Going back. John's the one who's low on the other side. Edward's doing what he can to try to find as much of the loot as possible. And this is where the little bit of farming up that you can do over on this side is going to come in handy, and Batman Booga's be one of the quicker there. 6 builds, but in a fight off spawn like this, that could be the difference between winning and losing. And for Batman Booga and Bacon, 120 points. Trying to keep themselves within reach of taking a top spot and gathering as many of those series points as they possibly can after the day, as Edward doing what he can. His back up against the wall on the defense. Both John and Edward towards the low ground, they need to land a good shot and start the fight that way. Otherwise, Batman Booga and Bacon will continue to hold the advantage.
Yeah, and the opportunity to line it up is right there. Batman Booga doesn't see it coming. Returns to a shot of his own. And that is crucial because Bacon is able to go in there and take down John. So that leaves Edward, even with the great angle he found onto Batman Booga, it doesn't really materialize into anything because he's now still left in the 2v1.
Luckily for him, though, there's no shields to go around on the low ground. Only a couple slap juices. Bacon actually does prove me wrong. He found some chug splashes elsewhere. Immediately fire off, take him down. That is going to be a full-on wipe. But you see a team coming from the north side. That's Liam, that's Jitter. That's one of the first teams in game number 1 that actually took down Batman Booga.
Yeah, and they want to get another piece of that action.
Making sure they have 200 shield and HP for this one. Jitter taking those extra couple of seconds, and this is where it's rough because when it comes to the resources and the mats, got to imagine Liam and Jitter have a little bit of advantage. They continue to try to push those players down farther and farther towards the low ground, giving them less room to work with. Liam has to be careful. He's going to drop down and fall them.
So pickaxing away at these walls, replacing them as well for good measure, and that's why it's good he replaced it. So he can block them off from getting out, but that would have been bad if he hadn't have. It would have been right in his face.
Scary for a moment. You see they pushed out, quickly turned back. Liam with the beast control and the edit, but he bites off more than he can chew. He goes down to Batman, Booga, and Bacon as they continue their aggressive run throughout this final. But luckily, ODM gear is going to be used because that was Jitter. Was able to kind of get out for now.
These guys are the king of the Southwest. Nobody in this area can really mess with them.
No. Not at all. Not at all. What makes you wonder, they're still leading in eliminations. Did they go down too early? Boyo did. He gets knocked. That's Cardi who picks him up. Booga and Threats. They got at least one elimination so far in this early game. So even though the threat of Storm Surge is always going to be looming in the back of their mind, they at least have some flexibility early on.
Yeah, well, they're not done.
No.
Widow's here, and Widow will quickly be pressed on too, and that's why we say Threats is such a good aimer. Shots line up there, and to be fair, Widow was going in a straight line, which made the shots easier for him. Still connecting.
Crazy to see that it seemingly feels like Death and Tahi are just consistently able to push both Shatter and Paper away from Shattered Slabs. They at least got one elimination this time around. A little comfortability and flexibility when it comes to the Storm Surge threshold. As Coop just has 14 HP, he needs to be careful. Then pop that med kit. That's Quanti and Peterbot on the other side of Slappy Shores, but they're so far south, basically where they dropped on the POI. They're not going to be able to cover the distance to take down Cooper. Not quick enough, at least, as Aviv and Skittles just causing some chaos over here towards Brutal Bastion. They're usually one of two teams, the other one being Cease and Tragic, that seemingly always walks away with the vault loot. Ooh. Back-to-back shots.
Really nice back-to-back shots. He's going to have to hit even harder now as well with his teammate down, and doesn't seem like it's going to be a problem. Oh dear, there's no way. He's able to get out now.
He somehow got the piece control throughout all that, but it goes over right as I say it. Peeks through the window, a great defensive shot on the side of Aviv to try to keep himself in a better position in this fight. Still has 3 bigs and 2 splashes, so shield and HP is not going to be a worry. Boxes him up like a fish, but a great cone on the defensive end to try to keep himself alive. But a game of cat and mouse is going to continue as Aviv knows he still has the health lead. Doesn't want to give him the time to go ahead and heal up. That's why he's continuously attacking with the ODM. Did he get the res up on Ledesma? He did, and that's just another siphon and even more mats going on over to Aviv to continue this fight. Got to give him credit for going for the revive in such a chaotic moment, though. But Aviv is not giving up, just tearing through those builds with the melee attack on the ODM gear. And this is one of those fights to where the winner of this one gets all that vault loot, so it's more than just a regular fight.
We're going to go to some campfires. There's a bunch of campfires all around this bastion area. Aviv gonna use the reboot van. That's here as well. Will Dorito let him get him off though? Just taking some shots to try and stop the reboot from happening. Aviv will be right back on it. He does not care about the spray. Will he stick it? Not gonna get a chance to. Dorito starts knocking on the door and he has to answer.
Yeah, Dorito doesn't have any mobility, so he can't necessarily disengage. The timing is just not there. Yeah, he might be able to have an opportunity at it, but as soon as that reboot comes through, he's the one that has the card, so Aviv and Skittles are going to chase him down. So he wants to fight this while it's still a 1v1 and not put himself in a bad spot. He has more than enough mats to keep this continued fight going as Aviv once again backtracks to that reboot. He's just trying to bait Dorito into fighting him. And he's continuously circling around. He's trying to keep himself in the best possible spot, the most comfortable spot he could be in, and he's just waiting for Ledesma to make the bad decision and drop down low. Or maybe get him to waste all his ammo so he can't do that anymore.
Hero.
400 medium bullets, that's gonna be quite a while.
Yeah, we got a while.
Uh-oh. Maybe not. Maybe just a little bit, because that third party coming in, slowly but surely closing the distance. Brutal Bastion. All this noise being made is just basically almost signaling to this team, saying, hey, we're over here. We're wasting some time. We're fighting, possibly not in the best position as they continuously close the distance, and they're keeping the high ground. Look at the trajectory. Look at the route that they're taking.
Are they still going for the reboot periodically?
Is he gonna give up yet?
Will you just let me have it? Please just let me have it, sir.
See? He's baiting him. He's waiting for Dorito to drop down low. Aviv is playing into his own hand, not getting greedy. But that third party is crouching. They minimized a lot of their audio to get him this spot. That's Hound. That's Aiden. And before you know it, this dream could turn into a nightmare.
Whose nightmare will it be? Maybe everybody's nightmare outside of Hound and Aiden, because as they roll on through,
Jackson and D-Roller are like, what about us? We want to have fun too, but they're playing a little more cautious on the most southern port of Brutal Bastion. Just trying to get the shots when it comes to Storm Surge. Nothing more, nothing less. It looks like both Dorito and Aviv just kind of reposition themselves in a better spot, but it just means Aviv is going to have to continue on as a solo.
This early in the game, that's going to be real tough. Getting Surge as a duo is often very hard for teams in this lobby. Try doing it as a solo.
Not something I would wish on anybody. DeQuinted is able to get a knock onto one. That's Ritual who does go down. Instantly cleaned up. DeQuinted goes back to back, taking out both Ritual and TK. And here goes Polarized and Pen closing in on another fight. And takes down DeQuinted. Very little time to celebrate. For that celebration just comes a little bit of frustration. Oh man, Pen and Polarized. You can see the southern port of the Kinjitsu crossing. Just trying to get all that information in the distance, whether they're using the red eye or just kind of hop up and down. You know exactly where the zone is going to continue to rotate.
Look at this loadout, man. Literally, right? If he has the Pete Swordman, that's the perfect loadout. Doesn't need to do anything for the rest of the game. Just play a mats.
Behind the cone.
Try get to end game 5-5-5 as best as you can. It's very hard to do that now with this meta, but as best as you can, and you're good. You're vibing. Purple katanas, slurps, chug splashes, a nice little shotgun. Maybe you prefer the mythic shotgun.
No, I would.
Mythic shotgun and a pulse rifle, maybe.
Perfect loadout. Levins. You're speaking to me now. Acorn and Cold. One of the teams that, doesn't need a perfect loadout. The first team, as the island does appear, is going to be Commandment and Macwood. Swiftly and early going for that capture point. But unlike last game, where it was kind of uncontested, not too many teams around, this one at least has 3 direct teams towards the north, a 4th team towards the west. So if anybody wants to try to contest this, they're in the area to do so.
We're still trying to farm. He makes his way on through. Those barrels will provide a bit of metal. There's a bunch of metal here to be farmed. That's Blacky. Bacon and Batman. Booga still here. Over towards Frenzy Fields. Let's take a look at how they got these. 6 elims so far in the game is very impressive so far. This is why they have been some of our damage leaders throughout the day. Because they just get in. It doesn't matter who it is. They will fight.
They just earned every piece of that loot that they can grab. But for Nyx and Demonics, you can see they're one of those teams that I was talking about. South of that Rift Island, just trying to rotate. They have the option. Do you find that rift? Or you just go without it? Definitely going to be a choice that they're going to think about as this one does progress. But a team that I love to see. We saw them moments ago on the replay. Batman, Booga, and Bacon. SBG, how have they been faring so far?
Well, we just had Levin ask what happened. 6 elims is a lot. So we see them fighting. They've been fighting pretty much this whole game. And we see Batman Booga has the patience here to wait for his teammate before engaging in this fight. Teammate gets there, they heal up, then they're going to get the elim. That perfect patience is why they're able to get all these elims.
Patience is the key here for these players. Patience has been essential for Quanti and Peterborough because they've spent the last 2 games watching from the sidelines after going down the spawn. The first 2 games of the day, they were first place and second place. And even though they've dropped a bit, if they can go back to their earlier form, this tournament is by no means out of reach.
One of the few teams that I think could do it. We've seen last season Peterbot and Booga at the very least when they realized they're down on the leaderboard with the only way back on up is through eliminations. This time they have a little bit more flexibility because they're still high up on that leaderboard. With just this game and one more to finish off, it's the last chance for some of these teams to gather as many points as possible. And for Yamzo and Rise, 153 points. It's not exactly where they want to be on the leaderboard, but it's enough to keep that momentum going, keep their confidence high. And you see the 6 splashes already.
Yeah, look, this is a team that is still figuring things out, still working on things. I've had the benefit of being able to play close attention to them, watch them during some of these tournaments, listening to the comms. And things aren't smooth, both big personalities that can clash at times, but when things are in sync, they can perform and get big results. And so I'm sure over the course of the season, we'll see their development improve tournament by tournament.
Wow. All that loot kind of going over to Noxie and Stacky. And that was Death and Tahi getting taken down, and all that bot loot changing hands. Emerald Road King and Cooper trying to make their way towards the zone, but Cooper just takes a ton of damage, 95 to be exact, on his way there, but 410 above the damage threshold, or at least moments ago they were. Their only worry is making it from point A to point B inside of the zone. Yamzo and Rise are separated here just enough as Ice and Blue have the health advantage in that fight against Matt and R, who have made some impactful plays in that last game. Got some great eliminations, but in this tough spot, they're going to be looking to survive with the team continuously trying to progress and aggress into their box, not really wanting to let that damage they got early on go to waste, especially with Storm Surge ticket in. Matt just has a sliver of HP, but Yamzo's creeping as well. Down goes Blue. Young Ice is left by himself, but you can see the legendary Slurp Juice that he popped moments ago playing an impactful role in his survival.
So Pacey waiting for an opening as well to get on the fight. You know, he's eager to jump in. Rise is there as well.
Hound and Aiden out of nowhere. Kind of wondering where this additional team came from, but 512, you see Yamzo and Rise just playing patient, letting them duke it out, waiting for it to finish before they try to third party it yet again. Hound and Aiden just instantly cleaned that one up, taking advantage of a weak opponent. But on the other side of that wall, you got Yamzo and Rise kind of staring each other down. Zone's going to begin to move, and instantly Aiden and Hound begin to disengage and try to rotate. All they have is the ODM gear, so they have to be careful when and where they begin to use it. All it's going to take is one tag to kind of cancel out the little bit of rotation they have. With only being 274 above the damage threshold, Storm Surge is also going to be looming in the back of their minds.
Yeah, they have to try to pick up damage along the way if they can as well. Aoxy and Swell currently out in the open and looking to maybe pickaxe their way in to the team that's been so prolific these past couple games, MPen and Polarized. And it didn't quite work, and so Aoxy gonna go back and try and pickaxe away again, try claim that wall.
MPen on the other side. Hit the game-winning dunk. In game number 4 to end that one. No heal off, no chance. This time around, he's given himself that possibility. At least one legendary Slurp Juice to pop as the zone closes. 6 flashes to keep himself alive. Depending or not if he has that game time on him. That's huge, just like that shot he just hit. Polaroids is closing the distance on the other side after he took out Swirl. That's a full-on team wipe from MPen and Polaroids for their 3rd elimination of the game.
These guys cannot be stopped. They've shown us that they're going to be a real threat in North America this season. Peterbot and Quanti finally being able to play a game out and looking very good for that as well. Of course, I don't want to get too ahead of myself. There's still so many teams left alive, but if they do have another game, I think it only goes to show just how good these guys truly are. Sure, they might go down or spawn a couple times, but who doesn't when you're dropping South Slappy?
This is what you call right here bravery. I've never seen somebody so brave in my life. If that one tag wouldn't have taken him down, the ball damage with the ODM gear being used would have, but sometimes all you need is a chance.
Yeah, I think it just came down to necessity, right? He had to get out of there. And so, no choice but to move on through, but he's gonna have to make use of these chug splashes in the big pot because he's very low on HP and needs to actually make sure he stops getting sprayed as well. Needs to get out of the way, make some space moving over to Rokane, who also has chug splashes to use. Those players actually gonna look to try to get in on the box. That's Mega and Snake.
Bert does have a big pot, but what he doesn't have is time to pop it. Rokane trying to lead the way, but they get tagged up. Somebody just jumps into the box. Jamper picks up elimination throughout it all as well. Somewhere else on the map, Pamso and Fatch take down Shore. Snake and Mega under pressure. So many teams just really getting taken down at the worst possible moment right before those placement points really begin to set in. And without any mobility, though, this is going to be interesting to see what Macwood and Kanata can do. Choosing not to take either an ODM gear or a kinetic blade, but taking some extra heal to try to keep themselves alive longer.
Cooper and Emerald King, of course, Emerald King made it so deep in that last game, came second place. And so now a chance of redemption, a chance to beat that high score. But if he wants to do that, he's going to have to get through the bosses of this lobby. Acorn and Cold, Empen and Polarized all to win this one. And as I say that, Empen gets taken out. And some of the bosses he has to deal with are falling at the wayside. The Umzo and Rise fell in the feed as well. All around the place, everybody going down.
Yeah, right before we tuned into them, Soup was able to get 2 eliminations, bringing his total to 3, making sure they stay well above the Storm Surge threshold. And just as you said, with Empen going down, that's going to leave a lot of pressure on the Polaroids here in this game. And he's just slowly but surely not trying to overstep his boundaries, get too greedy, make sure that has as mats as he could carry outside of that metal, which he lacked just a little bit, but more than enough mats to make it across the next couple of zones. As Acorn and Cold, 257 points, sitting high up on that leaderboard. This is around the point in the game they're going to need to go down for some of these other competitors to really catch up to them in terms of their pacing.
My man, Mackwoods. The setups are looking good for them in terms of what they have available in their inventories. But they just have to deliver. Peterbot scouting. Quanti leading the path. It looks like they're going to look to build up here. They want to play for height again like they did earlier in one of the other wins. And yeah, just ramping all the way on up. Peterbot looking to reinforce it, but they're connected now. And that's Booga and Frets they're connected to. Booga's decided to drop down. Frets now following suit. And so yeah, Peterbot and Quanti have height.
That was great. Great job by Peterbot to try to hold on to that structure. That pulse rifle doing so much damage, tearing through the builds. As Clix finds his first elimination of the game, bringing the duo's total to 4. You can see he has pizza already popped. Game time has already been given and passed around, so a couple slices of pizza in the inventory. Cold and Acorn trying to get to the front side of zone, holding on to their splashes is going to be the name of the game. Polaroids as a solo, the last of his charges is going to be expended, so he's just going to try to box himself up, wait for his charge to recharge before he connect blade to the front side of zone again.
Polarized using that slurp in the back of the zone though. Cold and Acorn, they're looking to frag, but they need to get to safety. Booga using that blade, hiding right underneath that height team. And here on the snare, trying to apply pressure onto Polarized. Force him out, force him down. But there's already a team there that's dealing with him. And so Booga, if he doesn't want to be next, he might have to change layers.
Emerald King and Cooper doing a good job, though. Going to the backside of zone. They have a couple of slices of pizza to regain the HP as he goes forward, sideways, just trying to bypass dropping into anybody's box, but he goes nearby both Gold and Acorn. Cooper's there, though. He takes a big tag. Batman, Booga, and Bacon appear with 7 eliminations so far up until this point. He's just trying to go crazy, getting towards the front side of zone. This is 11th going into 12th. This is where the heal-off will typically begin, and a lot of these eliminations on the day for NA.
Booga still solo clutching. Still staying alive and still gathering these placement points. Clips and soups. Another game where they're here on mid-ground, but they're running low on their bills. They need a refresh desperately. But that's what Crix is all about. And so hopefully he can set up for something. Booga though, can he add more to his tally before bowing out of this game? Still has enough mats to top here on the front side. There is a team on this layer and he's well aware of it. Trying to apply pressure, but he hears things below him. He's hearing cues all over the place. He doesn't know which way to look. But now that he has focused his attention, he needs to connect, and he will. A nice shot there for Booga. But unfortunately, he's actually not even going to get any sort of refresh from that. Barely making it into zone. A knock onto clicks will be something that Commandment will put to an end. Soup down below. He now needs to try connect to the solo. There are players here who will pick up a pizza, but it's not enough for a full heal of Acorn and Cold. Are looking so strong. Acorn, though, has no more Cold and has no more life without him.
Where that hybrid heal-off is going to begin. Some players trying to fight for it down to the very end. Others just going far back to the other side of zone. Trashy is going to be the player trying to chase him down. Pump isn't there. He's gone already. Legendary Slurp Juice is all they have. He gets chunked out by the zone. Noxy now with little heals that he has. He's looking around, trying to scavenge for anything that he can find. Last of the Splash is going to be used as well. And Quanti, out of nowhere, after the last couple of games, going down off spawn, he could make it happen. 4 floppers left. Medmiss splashes, celebrating early, rightfully so. They rise from the depths to take the game.
They win game 1. Second in game 2, go down off spawn 2 games in a row, and when finally given another chance to play out a full game, they win. Peerbot and Quanti on a different level right now.
All they need is that chance in the game, like you're saying, and they're really going to take over. I know this is only week number 1, and it's only been 5 games, but they're really looking like the team to beat. And you can see why Elite Esports has picked up Peterbot. Gotta imagine Quanti only gonna be a free agent for so long. Huge momentum shift right before our eyes.
Look, at the end there, when you see Quanti with the med miss, you're thinking, okay, it's wraps. Then he picks up the floppers and there's 4 flops. It's like, yeah, GG's. Nobody else is out healing him right now. And yeah, I cannot wait to see where they are in the standings. Cool, maybe they might not win the whole thing, depending on how that last game goes. Who knows? But the performances they put on in the 3 games we've had to watch for them is unlike anything we've seen from any other team in the lobby today.
Yeah, they're really kind of taking the lobbies by storm. That was game number 5. With only 1 more game to go, the leaderboards are going to mean so much going into our last game. Only Zeke and our wonderful analyst can lay it all down.
Thank you guys so much. I feel like it's a repeat from yesterday. I'm like, oh, we have 1 more game of Fortnite. We have 1 more game of Fortnite. But that's okay, because this win was huge for Peterbot and Quanti. We did highlight them at the beginning of the show, and now they're showing us, hey, don't forget, this is why you're talking about us.
You know, I think we learned something on this game, right? We kind of learned why Peterbot and Quanti are being contested all spawn. It's not because either of us like the spot. It's because they do not want Peterbot and Quanti to make it to the end game. A win, and a second place every single time they have made it to the end game. Absolutely phenomenal stuff.
Yeah, they make it off spawn, and they absolutely pop off. They are a danger to the rest of the lobby, all the way up on high ground. They fought off the likes of Booga and Threats, who tried to fight for it. But of course, this was beautiful from Peterbot here. We'll talk about Quanti with the heal off at the end, but Peterbot did as much work as he could to make the rest of the lobby thin out as much as he could. And this is what we saw yesterday on EU. This is a lot more similar to how we saw Queasy playing way back in the zone, farming those heals, collecting those heals. And of course, he could have lasted till, I mean, tomorrow. All those heals he had so many left.
Well, I mean, yeah, they're looking so good. They jump up into that 4th place spot. And again, with the 2 victory royales, however, that's still not enough. 2 victory royales is not enough. because Acorn and Cole, they are sitting so far above the lobby. One would think we're in game, and they have a little sky base up in the air.
I mean, they have a 73-point lead over Peterbot and Quanti, right? So let me tell you right now, that game right there for Peterbot and Quanti was a 79-point game. So technically, it's still possible to switch up who's going to win this thing. But, I mean, Acorn and Cole, they're playing so well right now. And it's specifically Acorn, it seems like every single time we have to watch one of these solo clutch highlights out of him, and the patience from him every single time to just play so defensively works out so well.
Yeah, they're playing so well. I mean, Cole will get all the credit, of course, for those fragging abilities. But as you mentioned, Acorn deserves his flowers as well. He is playing exceptionally well today. And is that another top 4 for them today, Vivid? We were looking in the back. I think it was every single game prior to now was a top 4. And that, yet again, no different.
Whew, just playing so good. Showing us again why they are those Major 1 champions.
Looks so good right now. We go down the line. Second place, Clicks and Soup also looking good as well. Now, again, there's only a couple points between them and first, but we are looking to try and place as high as possible for that series point leaderboard. Can these guys pull out another big game for the final on the day?
I hope so. Yeah, I certainly hope so. I like the way they play this, of course, using that pizza augment a little bit earlier on. It actually enabled them to have heals and make it further on in the game. It's quite easy sometimes to sort of hoard it and just take it for longer than you need. You end up getting eliminated. You can't use it if you're eliminated and back in the lobby, so they invested that early on.
Yeah, and the individual ability on this duo is actually phenomenal, right? Usually we talk about individual ability when it's like a solo clutch performance, but no, sometimes this duo actually gets separated, and I'm watching them, and they get back together like instantly, right? So they're so good mechanically and so good at finding each other, even in chaotic moments.
Another duo to highlight, 5th place, Trashy and Pump. Remember, they did start the first few games a little rough, but they've really gotten that rhythm, and I mean, it shows holding top 5 right now. They just need another good game, and they could potentially move up the leaderboard.
That's what it's all about.
I mean, listen, I'm looking at this leaderboard, and I feel like we've had such a good day of Fortnite. Every single team up here has put up a good performance, and it's kind of been in their own, like, sort of way, their own style. It hasn't just been, straight up heal off every single game, which is why this competition so far today has been so fun.
I mean, you highlighted at the beginning of the show, these little nuances that they do, putting those heals into the bush, they have that level of IQ that I really like to watch on this duo, and they're using it. Maybe it took them a little bit of time to get their gears going, to get the engine running, but, you know, as we can see in these final few games, we've seen them pop off, we've seen their potential, and hopefully Game 6 can be more of the same.
Yeah, my next question will be, what's the damage look like across all of these games? Well, we have that for you. Let's take a look at the damage done between games 1 and 4. We take a look together. Jeff right now looking absolutely wild with rapid antics. Almost 10,000 damage. But, I mean, when you start to look at the rest of the names, you're like, oh, this is kind of like our top 10.
Yeah, 100%. Actually, the crazy thing here is that Jeff and Rapid are actually in the top 10 on our leaderboard. So it's like, how have you guys done so much damage? Well, the big comparison to make here is that when we take a look at Acorn and Cold damage done, 31% of that has come from the 12th zone, the final zone.
Yeah, and that beats out MPen and Polarized, who ended up with 24% of damage. That is the second place team in that sort of damage leaderboard. So they're just so far ahead of the rest of the lobby when it comes to those 12th zone damages, because that's when it matters most. They may not be on the top of this leaderboard that we're looking at right now, but they're getting the damage where it matters most.
Yeah, I mean, 100%. Kind of helps that we were talking about it, right? They've made it to top 4 like every single game, so they are making those end games every single time, but it just proves to show that even in those last moments, they're finding those eliminations and that damage.
I do wonder if, with the recent changes to the Storm, this is something we kind of highlighted before. This means there's a lot more players alive in those few kind of like zones. And I feel like for this duo as an example, they want that, right? They want more opportunities to find impacts and refreshes. Of course, they're stacked the materials as well. But when you're racking up eliminations and then suddenly you're high in those placements, you're going to be high in the leaderboard.
Yeah, ultimately, it's all about who knows each other better. Of course, Acorn and Cole have been playing for a long time. When you have that synergy in those tight moments where things get a little bit intense, you have to have trust in yourself and your duo, and they're doing it so well.
So absolutely insane. One game left to go here on NA. I don't want it to end either, but listen, it's okay. We have one game left to go. Everyone buckle up. Let's have a great game here. Find your pizzas. It's game number 6.
I cannot believe this is the last game of the day. I'm with you, Zeke. Let's bring on more games, 6 more even. But with the last game ready, the bus is ready as well. And hopefully all our competitors at home are just as ready. The last chance to pick up as many points as you can and pick up those series points at the end of the day starts now.
Jacob, some of the performances we've seen today have been absolutely unreal. One team who, when given a chance to play out from off spawn, have literally come either first or second in all 3 of
Don't
the games they
forget
played.
to like and
Even first place has
subscribe
literally
now.
come at least top 4 in every single game so far. 5 games, top 4 every single time. They've like come top 10 in every game. It's like the consistency is out. Expect excellence of the reigning champions. Cricks and Scented. This is a team that massive fan favorites, but definitely have a lot to prove and have proved to everyone so far today that they are top dogs. And the thought of Clicks potentially winning an FNCS, it certainly excites not just me, but I'm sure thousands and thousands of people watching at home.
Only imagine the stream celebration, the moment Clicks wins the big one. But over to our, one of the farthest positions on the map towards the north side. Justice and Veers trying to get in. They're able to get one, but a huge tag. Justice gets dropped down low. Veers as well. Mars is just fighting back, clawing at an opportunity here in the last game. 88 points so far. It's all about series points for him. And every single time he tries to push forward, Justice just places a wall, denies him entry. He's trying to return. He's trying to go for the res. Mars is still hot on his heels. Damage is being traded off. Not a lot went on to Mars, and he takes the 1v2. Huge moment here in our final game.
Really nicely done from Mars. Ice cold in the final moments. And that's what you need here in game 6. Shadow and Paper, they need to pull off something similar. It's been an up and down day here at the Shattered Slabs. That is the nature of this POI. Good thing is, Tahi is all alone. They've already dealt with death. And barely dealing with Tahi there as well. Paper going down. Peterbot though, and Quanti survived the initial off-spawn aspect of this game, but the fighting is far from complete, it seems.
Wow, look. And Lawrence and Zeke possibly even trying to disengage, but Peterbot and Guanti having just too much damage that they don't want to let go to waste. Team from the south probably hearing all the noise. Team from Slappy Shores hearing all the noise. It's just a matter of time before somebody begins to close in on the distance and try to third party a Zeke popping a med kit momentarily. Peterbot sensed that one coming and just tries to put pressure. Doesn't run up, but puts just enough to try to cancel it out.
up onto Widow there. Nice little one tap. Acorn and Cold. The team in first place. For people who maybe are watching their first FNCS and don't quite understand how crazy what they're doing is, to play 5 games of Fortnite at the highest level and get top 4 at least in every single one is nearly unfathomable.
Especially with the drastic shift and so many different things overall. It's the meta, but from zones to heals to items to the overall map, there's changes that these players are having to deal with. So consistency is just impressive if you can find it. If even Skittles, they found themselves the key card for the vault. He's going to be in the distance. You can see them slowly but surely trying to close it. Be one of the first teams there overall. And that's looks like it's going to be a trade. Vault for capture point, but as soon as Ledesma and Dorito capture that point, Aviv's and Skittles' location is going to be revealed.
I think I know which one I'd rather have, personally.
A Dorito or Ledesma's team?
Whichever one's giving me the vault and the mythic shotguns.
Okay, Aviv and Skittles it is.
A look here at clicks. Standard little basin up here. And thankfully we have SPG with a little update on what these guys have been up to.
Well, guys, not all off spawns are created equal. Clicks and Soup have been uncontested off spawn pretty much all day, able to get the kinetic blades right off spawn, use the slurp truck, pretty much get max HP, and then just farm for free. Compare that to what we saw from Peterbot and Quanti having to fight every game, and it's incredible to see both these two go back and forth and still be at the top of the leaderboard.
So even though they got a long way to go in terms of reaching Acorn and Cold in first place, it's like a battle for second between these two juggernaut of teams here on the NA region. You can see after that short stalemate of a fight, Lawrence goes his way, Peterbot and Quanti go theirs. They realize it's just not worth it at that stage in the game. Getting some resources, materials, any upgrade to your loadout is going to be well more important than just 2 points for that elimination. Oh man, as I look up in the feed, somehow Aiden out of nowhere is taking down Ledesma. You know, over towards Brutal Bastion, got some action going on. MPen and Polaroid trying to close the distance, be one of the first teams. And you can see as soon as they get in towards the zone, as it continues to push towards that eastern side, they're going to quickly try to go after that weapons cache and try to upgrade their own loadout. If they're able to kind of capture this one without any real contestation from any of these teams, they're really going to go night and day in terms of what's in their inventory.
A look here at the zone, pulling all the way towards this newer side of the map. In addition, this season, southeast, all of these POIs, Steamy Springs, Jitsu, Mega City. This whole new terrain will be where we close out the day. And that plays right into the hands of a couple of our best teams in the lobby, right? The likes of Clicks and Soup. Acorn and Cold definitely benefit from this zone as well. And even Peterbot and Quanti won't mind it either. It will give them access to dead. It will give them access to dead side of the zone if they choose to play that way.
Looking at the mini map right now, and notice Lawrence disengaged. He was able to disengage far enough and bring Seek back into the game. And I saw the Desmond go down in the feed, and we're seeing them chase down Dorito as well, weaken him, and overall just send him back to the lobby, trying to give themselves the best chance that they got. It's all about series points here in week number 1. Giving yourself a cushion, because you don't want to end up in week number 3 having to lay it all on the line, really having the difference between going directly to finals, playing in Surge Week, or worse, not playing in either one and going to Surge Week. Pump and Trashy, just like they do every single game along with the Amzo here. Once they pull that zone, just build huge towers into the sky and try to gatekeep any of the teams out. For Yamzo and Rise, they know all these teams for the north side of the map, possibly even the west, are going to have to go through them if they're going to find safety in the zone.
Yamzo taking shots up in this base. It's what he's so accustomed to doing this chapter, not just this season, this chapter, landing at that POI.
Ooh. Huge potential fight between Polarize and Pamso and Fats. I say potential, but Polarize is going to be the first one in. Lands a huge shot to start it all off. Both Pamso and Fatch almost less than 50 shield and HP combined, but quickly tries to splash them back into shape. And as soon as NPen and Polarize feel that they're a little bit more healthier than they'd like, they disengage, realizing they're out of zone. They still got distance to cover. There's also other teams nearby that might try to gatekeep them. They're out. So they're making that conscientious decision to realize, hey, it's just not worth our efforts, especially where we're positioned at currently on the leaderboard as they continue to move north, trying to get themselves far into the zone as possible. And right before our very eyes, you see the teams that are in contention of taking control of this Rift Island. And some of those teams are in our top 5. So the loot that you can capture up there could be the difference between 3rd place and possibly 1st.
It could just be, you've seen how effective those pulse rifles have been today in the right hands of the right players. Right now it's Cam and Jamper, who currently look like they'll be able to claim it relatively free. I don't see any of the arrows in the bottom right really looking towards this island. They are wary of the players beneath, and they'll take some shots at them as well.
Interesting for Jamper to be in the house, peeking out the windows. Typically, you see the player that's in Cam's position, I should say, on top of the roof. But there is some additional angles which you can get tagged up, trying to go for those shots if you are in that position. So you have him thinking outside of the box, try to get any of the shots that he can. But inside of the box, Soup and Clicks box themselves up, not far from where they actually land, towards that racetrack, just northwest of where they're positioned now. And as the zone continues to push everybody towards the southeast portion of the map, they continue to watch their back, because that's where a lot of the stacked portion of the lobby is going to come from.
Cool, where Trashian pumps it right now. So high up. Lines of sight on everybody in the lobby from this position. It's almost like they're playing a bird's eye view game right now. Just how everybody looks from down below.
Wow. Just continuous damage. And shredded off a lot of these players. And you're seeing who the consistent teams are, who the consistent players are here on the day. They're always finding those opportunities high above the sky, just shooting down tag after tag, shot after shot. And anybody just trying to... The positioning is going to be key. But from the south portion, west portion of the map, Batman, Booga, and Bacon this time around, no eliminations. You can see probably not having the same position off of spawn, not getting the same fights that they wanted. But instead of wasting their time on that side of the map, they're instantly trying to rotate on over. So they don't have to worry about rotating with everybody else left in the lobby. Like this by Yamzo and Rise, just step by step, little by little, rotating themselves over. 6 splashes, 2 legendary slurp juice, Acorn and Cold. They just got some elevation over here on this side. They got more ground and distance to cover going up the rest of this mountain, but instead of just going straight up, putting themselves to where they're in such a revealing position, they're just trying to go around it all. But they still have those same struggles. There's still teams looming in the distance that still have to worry about their own storm surge and where they're going to get it from.
Brick and the wood is lacking. We know how brick can be very difficult to acquire. Clicks and Soup in the zone. Clicks peeking. No HP. It looks like they want to save the shields they have. Maybe they'll choose to chug splash at some point together. Still looking for those tags, not connecting with anything though. That's been an area of Clix's game that I think definitely has needed some work in recent time. Being able to get surge tags, one of the most talented players you've ever seen, Clix, but can sometimes fall short with them shots. But he has been putting in the practice. Mpen's never really needed much practice to be able to do this. Nicely done. A limb onto TK.
You see what he has in mind, too. Knows the CQC's around every single corner, but he gets tacked up, trying to kinetic blade right back onto his teammate. The third party's proven to be dangerous, forcing out the legendary Slurp Juice to try to get himself up to tip-top shape, but the fight continues, and the shots continue to pour in onto NPen, backing him down, and Polaroids without a ton of HP. He's just trying to play defensively. Let NPen take a lot of the struggles, drop down low. There is loot down there, and the shots, once again, that same third party just trying to gatekeep everybody that's on this side of the map towards Genjutsu crossing on out. That's at least 3 different teams being gatekept, with Bugha and Threats being the ones that are gatekeeping them out.
It is so difficult to get held. And when Bugha and Threats are breathing on your neck, the pressure is certainly on. NPen and Polarized have been so good so far this tournament. This will be one of the hardest challenges they have to face.
You can see as the zone pulls, Bugha and Threats, they just got the damage that they wanted. As soon as NPen and Polarized got close, they didn't find that position to be comfortable anymore. They kinetic blade and start their journey towards the zone. They got quite a distance to cover, but for Commandment and Macwood, they just got to take a few short steps. And because they don't have to worry about Storm Surge along the way, they just stroll their way on into zone, but they need to be careful because that's Quanti, that's Peterbot on the other side. 2 of the more dangerous players in the lobby on the day. Levin, you said it yourself. Anytime they get a chance to play, they're either taking the game or a huge threat to the lobby. Wow.
What was that peak? Swinging, jumping, left-hand peak. And still connects. With a lovely hook shot. Cooper and Emerald King. Dancing in this bush, but there are players here. Seek and Lawrence.
Struggles off spawn has really led up to this point, forcing a reboot out, which kind of leads to why they're so far below the damage threshold. But Emerald, Road King, and Cooper, even with 2 eliminations, they're almost 1,000 above the damage threshold. But it doesn't matter near here nor there because the team that's right below, that's Seek, on the other side, going against former teammate Cooper. He takes a huge shot. That's Emerald Road trying to take control of the pieces. On the other side, he goes and aids his teammate in this fight against Loris. And immediately they 2v1, take him down altogether. And with Storm Surge taken in, Seek only has a finite amount of time and immediately gets aggressed on. Emerald Road, King, and Cooper make short work of their former teammate.
Yeah, damage is certainly not an issue these guys will have to worry about all game long. These guys are one of the highest in that regard so far this game. Batman Bugha's name's littered all over the feed. Unfortunately, Bacon, though, is down.
He's just one of those players, man. He's dangerous and has pop-off potential around any corner, but 235 points. The team that is in the race still, but hoping for Acorn and Cold to go down before the placement points really begin to set in. There's 2 more teams need to drop. Batman Bugha, he's a solo. Saw on the feed that Bacon went down moments ago, but only 74 above the damage threshold. Playing with that line, you can see him. That's why he's getting close to some of these teams. He's waiting for a lot of the action to start so he can try to sneak in some shots. That way you have to worry about Surge, but as the rest of the lobby does get active, that's why you see him moving up and down the damage threshold. That's because other teams are affecting Storm Surge.
Polarized has lost NPen.
Oh no.
This is not ideal at all for Game 6. This duo, at one point, looked like they were going to walk away and potentially take first place for themselves and win the whole thing. Now, in this last game, a big Polarized clutch will be needed if they want to salvage anything, if they want to move up from 3rd place. Quanti and Peterbot will be hot on their heels, though.
See Batman, Booga, and Bacon from 29 elims. Some of the most in the game, but Peterbot and Quanti, NPen, Polaroids, Acorn, Cold, Trashy, and Pump. A lot of our competitors at the top of the leaderboard kind of rounding that one out. Peterbot and Quanti still ready to pick up more, especially if this does come down to a heal-off.
Yeah, naturally, a lot of the players in the top of those elimination leaderboards are the ones high up in the standings. How good Batman Booga has been today. They were first place in terms of eliminations, but unfortunately, they will not be present for the rest of this endgame. Batman Booga there on your screen going down. And big ups to them, man. To be first in the limbs, it just shows you how aggressive they were today, representing their region, or their former region, NA West, incredibly well.
That is going to be a boost of confidence going into the next week as well, because now they figured out they can fight with the best of them and come out on top. They just need to round out the rest of their game plan, and that's playing a little bit more towards those placements to get halfway through the zones. 8th to 9th, this is where they are going to begin to move. Most of the lobby is on that southern edge. Everybody else, northeast or center. Cold and Acorn, they don't have far to move before they get in the zone. Polaroids neither. He also has the pizza from his game time augment. He will lack the ability to get 200 HP and shields. It's going to be needed going up against team like Acorn and Cold. Has to be careful not to bite off more than he can chew in this situation. Timing has to be perfect here for Polaroids as a solo.
Peterbot and Quanti. Remember, the trend throughout all of the games today is that when they make it to endgame, they either win or get second place. So keep your eyes peeled for this duo, because when Peterbot is hitting shots like that, it's just not fair. That mythic shotgun in his hand is going to be a big, big problem for anybody on his layer. Anybody above him, anybody below him, anybody in this server right now has to worry about that man. Cooper doesn't have Emerald King. We know how much firepower Emerald King has in these endgame moments. It's what's made him a champion in the past. Rise and Yomzo. They've not been able to play as aggressively as they would have liked to today, but they've still found success. Aviv and Skittles getting chopped out. And it is Yomzo and Rise who are doing it.
Typically why you see some of these teams that have the high ground, they just kind of stroll, they let all this action
Nobody's up.
before it dies. A and Shore both get chunked out as well. Acorn and Cold trying to move through all the madness, reunite in the same box, building their confidence. Clicks and Soup trying to get into somebody else's box. They're down on math, they're down on resources, and down altogether. It's all up to Soup. He's immediately trying to run around. Tries to go for a cheeky shot, but he gets denied entry, quickly pops Van down, and gets out with the kinetic blade, giving himself a second chance. But all he has in terms of hills is 70 on the Menmis, and a shot flying through the sky to try to end the run. It's not over just yet, but his opponent narrowly escapes what could be a disastrous takedown.
Soup's performances today has been the key to why they've been as successful as they have been. And so to close things out with a big, big solo clutch would just be in fashion, would just be in style. Rise has gone down. Yomzo has no intention of following suit, and so he picks up short. But unfortunately for him, the HP is not looking good whatsoever. Needs to start popping them pizzas. Quanti needs to start getting into zone, because Peterbot has fallen.
If he can skate through, that's more than enough for Yomzo. The way these games have been playing out, it hasn't going full heal off just yet. 2 more legendary slurp juices are going to be picked up as soon as he eats the rest of that pizza. Polaroid's gonna have to abandon the rest of the pie that he has left on the ground. Maybe even pick up a few slices before he ends up on the run. Quanti loses Peterbot. They have 3 eliminations. Last of his heals are gonna be used, and they're not even in the top 10.
And you can see Aviv and Skittles are still holding on to height as best as they can. Chopped out again, but still looking to retain it. Cold and Acorn, they're still on the rampage, still on the hunt to get another top 4, it seems. Hold on to that first place slot. Nobody's going to be able to take it the longer they stay alive. Polarized has tried his best and has done well without NPen, but unfortunately stuck at the bottom of this hill. Does not have the HP to last. Yomzo still alive. He was managed to get up, and he was managed to get another elim. That's 2 now for Yomzo.
More than enough mats to keep himself shielded from the high ground. But Trashy's falling down. waiting for the zone to reach him. More than enough splashes in a great position. Ultimate low ground. 7 competitors left in this game, 4 teams. Acorn goes down. Cold is going to be left by himself. Zone is going to close. Everybody trying to heal off. Cole doesn't have any heals to his name. He gets tagged from above and taken down. Into the top three we go. Skittles gets taken down next. Yamso is still doing it by himself, but the last splash is going to be used. Elite, Pump, Trashy, last team here, going up against Yamso, and the last shot is going to be nailed. Pump and Trashy take the final game of the day.
You would have thought it would have came earlier. They tried their best. They'd hung in and around that top 5 for so long. But with a final game victory royale, that might just be enough to push them into the positions they wanted to be in. And a team who have been so impressive this chapter. And rounding out the day with a nice win. Wasn't quite the helos we've seen in previous games. But nevertheless, when they needed to hit the big shots all the way here at the bottom of this mountain, they connected with them. And the final one onto Yomzo as he came down with the hopes of a big solo clutch. Pump put that to an end. And some nice celebrations there. Satisfaction, relief, if anything, that they were finally able to get the victory out. A big win for that duo.
Yeah, thinking 2, 3, even 4 steps ahead of the game when that one came down to the wire. They took the storm damage at the end to slide down, take control of Ultimate Low. They had the heals and really made it work as they edited and took down Yamzo to win the game.
An impressive day here in North America, the new North America that is, Jacob. And I'll be honest, I think the biggest surprise for me is just how ever-present the best of the best teams are. Like, I think when you go into qualifiers like this, you expect the top players to perform. But I didn't expect to just have them all win games after each other, you know, back to back. It's all the names we expect to see win, and they have done so today. And rounding it out was Trashy and Pump. Really nicely done.
Yep, we got to imagine Acorn and Cold with their impressive performance throughout the last 6 games and the cushion they had going into the final one. They got first, but where does everybody else lie? And those series points on the leaderboard, there's only 3 people I trust to break it down. That's Zeke and the gang.
Thank you so much, Levin and Jacob. Appreciate y'all. What an amazing 6 games here in NA. My gosh, Trashy and Pump. I feel like this happened last time. The very last time in Major Number 1, we had an opportunity to interview Trashy on broadcast. They did well at the end of that day. Now we've just made it 2 for 2.
That's incredible. Incredible, right? He's always so locked in as well.
He is. He was at the beginning, you know, he was very locked in, short and sweet answers. As you mentioned, Z, we interview them, they do well again, so any players that fancy an interview, let us know.
Yeah, I mean, incredible stuff. You know, we talked about Yams and Riser's first 2 games. They were finding great success on that low ground. Pump and Trashy kind of copping that style here, dropping all the way down. They had the chug splashes, and they had the aim, the cohesion beneath the duo. Yeah. I mean, this is one of the rare occurrences this season where we've seen a duo both alive in the end game and finding that victory route together.
Yeah, that's just a testament to their performance today. We spoke about it in the last game, actually, just after